Okay, so Nic Rivers, how are you?
Lovely.
Give us an overview of what is the trend in GHG emissions and policy over the last 20 years?
Sure. So we've been tracking greenhouse gas emissions in a really detailed way for the past 25 years or so. In 1990, we began submissions to the UN, which has a very detailed way of producing an inventory for greenhouse gas emissions.
Yeah.
So that's typically the year we start comparing trends to today. So in 1990, we were producing just under 600 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions in the country. And we made a series of commitments saying we would cut emissions by 5% or 20% in 1997 in a Rio conference, as well as a G8 conference in 1988, in a big conference in Toronto, again in 2003, another UN conference. And the bottom line is we've missed all of those goals. Our emissions have gone up since 1990 by about 20%. And the current government forecasts has them increasing after this year by around the same rate. So there's really no sign of substantial progress in greenhouse gas emissions. Just to put that in another way, the federal government a year ago put out a report saying, trying to summarize what the progress was to date on emission reductions. And they're quite detailed modeling, and no reason to think there's anything wrong with this modeling, suggests that all of the initiatives, both at the federal level and at the provincial level to date, have resulted in a cut of somewhere around 8 megatons in the year 2010, relative to actual emissions of around 750 megatons, or million tons. And so all of the initiatives at both the provincial and federal and municipal levels in Canada have resulted in a cut in emissions, according to the government's own forecasts, of around 1%. Even the government's own forecasts for future emissions over the next 10 years have us making quite limited progress in terms of reducing greenhouse gas emissions. They forecast continued increases in emissions over the next 10 years.